by being taken up in his energy, then armies of devotees were going out to distribute books around that time. And when Srila Prabhupada came to San Francisco, our temple president, oh, that's it. Hare, introduced the Sankirtan party, the book distribution party to Srila Prabhupada in his room in San Francisco. And Bhaktidas said, these are the book distributors. They're going out every day. They're sacrificing so much to go out and sell your books, and they're selling so many books. And we were listening, thinking, oh, this is nice. And then Srila Prabhupada said, you must also read the books. And then he preached for about 20 minutes about how he wanted every one of his disciples to take full advantage of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Every word, he said, I've translated from Sanskrit into English. I've painstakingly translated these books for your benefit because I want you all to become pure devotees. And at that time I could see that Srila Prabhupada's real interest was for us to come up, to actually become very serious, can be completely serious about Krishna consciousness and take full advantage of the process of Krishna consciousness. And from that, I've always been inspired that although Prabhupada's pushing book distribution, and this is very pleasing to him, that we must take full advantage of everything he's given us to come to the highest platform of Krishna consciousness by taking the process seriously. And since Siddhanta Prabhu is here, he's been asking me to tell the story a million times. This is the last thing I'll say, just because he wants it on tape. Anyway, in 1975, at the opening of the Krishna Balaram Mandir, I was here with the party that I was with Tripurari Maharaj and Suradas, and there was a group of us working for the BBT party. In any case, Prabhupada did the first artik for Krishna Balaram. And after that, then there was an opportunity for the devotees who would do the first artik. And so Tripurari Maharaj was ambitious. He pushed his way in the Pujari room and he said, he grabbed Suradas and he grabbed me and he said, we're doing it. And Bhagavan came in and he pushed him away. He said, no, we were here first. And Gurudas came in and he said, no, we were here first. And we were saying, Maharaj, just let him do it. Because we really weren't trained up so much in Pujari work. We had done a little bit here and there, but we were mostly doing book distribution. So in any case, we had to wait till Srila Prabhupada came in and then the doors would open and we'd do the artik. And so that's what happened. We went in and, before we went in, the Pujari, who had been up for 3 days, came and said, this better be good, because all the biggest pundits from all over Vrindavan will be here. Srila Prabhupada will be watching personally, of course, and you want to make a good impression. So we were very nervous, and we waited, and finally Srila Prabhupada came for darshan. We opened the doors, and we walked to the front where all the paraphernalia was, and I froze, because I had never seen such paraphernalia. Wicks. I've seen small ghee wicks before, long ghee wicks, and all types of different paraphernalia, and washing the conch outside the room and everything like that. So when the artik started, also we had never done a simultaneous artik. That's very difficult in and of itself if you've never done it. So we were there, and then
Were you doing Krishna Balaram?
I was at Radhashama Sundar's altar. Tripurari Maharaj was at Krishna Balaram's altar, and Suradas was at Gaur-Nitai's altar. And there was a fan going over Gaur-Nitai's altar that no one could find the switch for, because the temple had just been built and it was going full speed. So he could barely do anything there with the chamara and lighting anything. And then Srila Prabhupada came in, he offered obeisance to Gaur-Nitai, Krishna Balaram, and he came to Radhashama Sundar's altar and stood there. And then, of course, all the GBC men and all the sannyasis, they stood behind Srila Prabhupada. And I turned around to look while I was offering the incense and practically fainted because Prabhupada was standing right there. Anyway, it went from bad to worse as I continued to fumble through the process, and I was thinking the whole time that Srila Prabhupada may ask me to burn my Brahman's thread afterwards. I really thought that. And I think when I turned around, I threw the water and it hit Tamal Krishna Maharaj square in the glasses, and he was, I could see he was furious. So after the program, After the artik, we came into the Pujari room, and Tripurari Maharaj said, now is the time to pray for forgiveness. And I went to the dark recesses of my room that I could find and thought that I would stay there for a long time and pray for forgiveness. But the point is that after the artik, Prabhupada had gone back to his room. This is the story we got from Rameshwar, who had gone back there, and Srila Prabhupada said, who is this doing artik? And they said, Prabhupada, these were Tripurari Maharaj and his men, Prabhupada. He said, they don't know much about puja, but they distribute your books. And Prabhupada said, well, that is all right. That's what he told us when he came back. So anyway, after that time, I felt even more gratitude for Srila Prabhupada's mercy, and I also took it upon myself to learn how to do puja.
We'll not just end here, and we'll hear some more words from the lotus mouth of His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu. So, yeah, as we know, actually, he gives wonderful series of lectures on spiritual fitness. So let's hear some divine words.
The absolute conclusion where there's no more questions. Rather, we'll find out that there's more and more to inquire about the infinite subject matter of our spirituality. Birds fly in the sky as high as they're able, even though the sky is unlimited. And according to our capacity, which is really developed by this kind of conversation and deliberation and practice, we'll be able to ask deep questions because we'll really want to know. And this is something I've been thinking about this morning. The aphorism that starts the great work called the Vedanta Sutra, which is a compilation of very pithy statements, which are meant to stimulate a conversation about spiritual inquiry, is that Tato Brahma Jignasa, now that you have a human life, you should feel exhilarated because you have every opportunity in the world to improve yourself. And you have volition, you can make the choices. At any given second, you can decide to pivot and change your life. That's pretty heady. So the questions that we ask determine how deep we can go. So today, feel free to ask questions. I'll be looking carefully at the chat boxes to see if anything comes in. And JM is also monitoring the call today, right, JM? He's there?
Yes.
Okay.
Both, Zoom
So he's watching over things so that because I'll miss a lot as I'm talking, but have no fear. JM is here and he can notice if you're saying something, or if you want to join the call, if you're on Zoom and you want to speak up, ask a question, give a reflection, feel free to do so. Just feel at home. These conversations are really important. So first of all, starting with the system I learned from my teacher many, many years ago. One of the systems he taught me was called Pancharatra. And it is a comprehensive way of living one's life, starting with the way you wake up in the morning. And one of the first, literally the first step one takes in stepping out of bed and putting one's foot on the floor is to express gratitude that you're able to walk on the earth. And remember that you're being, all of us are being given at every second unlimited gifts coming to us. And if we're centered in that point, the first step we take out of bed in gratitude, thank you, thanking Mother Earth for allowing me to step on her and for providing facility in unlimited ways for me to express my creativity and go deeper into my spiritual nature. then it starts the day in the right way. And I'm going to make a few points today, and then we'll take some reflections or questions. It's a little harder sometimes in this medium when we're online to ask questions, it seems, because there's 1 degree of separation from when we're live. We feel the pressure in the rooms like, okay, I'm going to say something. But don't feel like that. Just try to make this natural. If you have things that you want to bring up, please bring them up. And it really adds to the conversation, adds another dimension. So the first thing today is about the importance of aphorisms. There are ways in which we may develop several aphorisms, which are like mantras that direct our lives. One that I discovered recently is something I think that is an overarching principle that will help to guide the conversation I want to have today. And that is, your values determine your character, and your character determines your value. So whenever we're thinking about how to move forward in any kind of activity or discipline and trying to make decisions about what to do or what not to do, going back to our values is really important. And if we establish those, then the dichotomy between what to do and what not to do can be bridged very easily. Another aphorism that I've collected that I heard one time years ago but stuck with me as a means to direct one's life is, I live to be corrected. If I'm living in that mode, I'm looking for the lesson in everything that happens. Otherwise, it's a battle against the ups and downs in life. But if we're taking it that even the downs are a means for teaching us, refining us, making us more introspective and understanding of how we're interacting with the world, then it becomes, life becomes an everlasting series of learning events, rather than having the sense that I'm being stifled somehow or other. If you live to be corrected, you can't be stifled, I guarantee you. Another is, there's just 2 more, just as an introduction to aphorisms. They're good to keep around and keep in front of you and keep on your lips. What I am is more important than what I have. And this is a spiritual principle, actually, because what we are is a non-material particle. We're actually spiritual entities, but we inhabit a material body, and we just happen to be in a material atmosphere, according to the ancient books of wisdom. We're wholly incompatible with the material world, actually. The Vedas say, asango hyayam purusha. It's addressing the spiritual being that is us within, called the Atma in Sanskrit. And the Atma really has nothing to do with the material world. It's a foreign environment for us. So if you ever feel like a stranger in a strange land, that's why. So looking within and understanding that actually the category of energy I am is much different from the material world. And understanding that my true value is in knowing myself, and that the true value in life isn't what I have right now, because ultimately I really don't have anything. Anything I think I have will be taken away. And that's a constant cause of deep-rooted anxiety in everyone, because even if you gain something materially, and there's nothing wrong with having things material, but just if I start to consider that I get to keep these permanently, that's when the deep-seated anxiety comes in. So learning to put more weight on what I am, which is a spiritual entity, rather than what I have. And what I have is just passing through my hands right now, and I can be a good steward of it, but it's not mine to keep. And the 4th one for today is, where attention goes, energy flows. This is one of the most practical aphorisms or mantras that one can take with one for time management. Consider, what am I doing right now? Where am I placing my attention? Because wherever I'm placing my attention right now, I'm going there. And do I really want to go there? So consider ahead of time where you want to go and then place your attention. It's our main, or as I like to say, only asset, is the decision where to place our attention. Our attention is very powerful because we're creative spiritual beings, and wherever we direct our attention, we're going to end up there. So be deliberate about where you put your attention at any given minute. Decide for yourself where you want to go and then place your attention there. And it may not be so easy to do that, but that's the practice of going somewhere that is valuable. So first, I'm going to talk about the topic of duty, because in the wisdom literature that I most refer to, because it's a summary of the Vedas, or the ancient books of knowledge of India, it's called the Bhagavad Gita. And in the Bhagavad Gita, the speaker or the teacher, Krishna, says duty is very important. So I made these notations about what duty means. Duty means doing the right thing even when it doesn't give you immediate happiness, if that sounds familiar. And if you have a duty plus knowledge, in other words, you're doing the things that you're supposed to do, and then at the same time you cultivate knowledge. And knowledge, here's the definition of knowledge: knowing how the world works. The greatest folly is not knowing how the world works. And ignorance is no excuse. If you drive on the wrong side of the road, as an example, not only going to be end up with injuries, but also you'll be held accountable by the law. So laws of nature are inexorable, and knowledge means taking information from a higher source to learn how the world works. As an example, the law of karma is active in our lives. And if I ignore it and I become what's called a vikarmi, or I ignore karma, I just do whatever I want, I don't consider what's right or wrong, then ultimately I have to suffer. And if somebody wants to know, oftentimes people want to know what's the ultimate source. Like in physics, you try to come up with a mathematical equation that will explain everything. Well, that has not been done. But there is a philosophical point given in the Vedas. There is an explanation for all suffering. And that is not knowing how the world works and working against the laws of nature. So know how it works, get knowledge from a higher source, and then do your duty at the same time. These two things together are very powerful. If you learn what is duty and you do it, and you get knowledge by hearing from a source that is reliable for knowledge. And everybody has to rely on some source of knowledge that they consider self-effulgent. This is something that Socrates pointed out. Otherwise, you get infinite regress. You have to accept some authority, some point at which you say, this is valid knowledge, this self-effulgent knowledge, it proves itself. And even in the sciences, we have to do that. You can't start over every time. You have to accept what previous great scientists have said in order to make any progress in your discipline, in your science. It's the same in spiritual science as well. So now here's the equation. Duty plus knowledge leads to wisdom. Wisdom is much harder to get than knowledge. Anybody can get knowledge, but you have to combine it with duty. You have some skin in the game. You actually tried it. You did the right thing. And there's a fruit to that, and that's wisdom. And from wisdom comes the crown jewel of yoga, which is absorption. Without absorption, you won't feel anything. You have to be absorbed. In fact, when you're absorbed, that's where all learning and progress takes place. Even, in school, if you're not absorbed, you won't learn. You'll be on the periphery. You'll miss most of the things. And you'll also be bored because it doesn't mean anything to you. So in the Yoga Sutras, meditation, and all the adjustments one makes to come to the point of fixed meditation and finally absorption, which is called samadhi, and sama means complete, and ti means to focus or keep one's mind fixed. Until you come to absorption, then you're missing the real nectar of life. So in that absorption, there's actually a prize. And that means there's deep happiness. And from that spiritual happiness, which is very distinct from material happiness, which is fraught with worry and fear and anxiety, there is no greater happiness, or one feels there is no greater gain. When one tastes that, that is the prize for doing one's duty, gaining knowledge, and keeping oneself in the practice. That's where transformation takes place, in absorption. So get absorbed. Of course, the definition I put here, it comes from late Middle English. The word absorb means to ab from, and sorbere, to suck in. If you're going to get from the world, get from the situation, you have to be absorbed and see what's going on. So where does this come from? And it comes from the Bhagavad Gita. In the 4th chapter, 10th verse of the Gita, Krishna says that jnana tapasa, these two concepts together. Jnana means knowledge, and I mentioned that before, hearing from the right source, hearing from an authoritative source, someone who's already learned and digested and has wisdom and then can pass knowledge into you. And tapasa means doing your duty and doing the right thing, even though it may seem inconvenient at the moment. When you have that, that leads to purification, and purification leads to absorption, and absorption leads to this spiritual happiness, which is undeniable. When one tastes it for oneself, one knows one has it. So those are a few preliminary thoughts, and I have much, much more where that came from. But I wanted to start with that because they're such simple concepts. It's an algebraic equation. You can just take it and apply it and see what happens. There are some particulars to it, but let's start with that. And I want to see, first of all, who's out there. So I'm going to put on my glasses here and also see what kind of comments or questions you might have. A reflection is easy because all you have to do is mention anything that you've heard so far that caught your attention.
I'll
JM?
chime in.
Yes, please.
Yes. So the concept of absorption, I think, is really interesting. And I have been doing yoga for a long, long time. And just this past week on Wednesday, I went to a class where like something clicked and it felt different than any other class I've been to. And I think it's because like with every breath and with every movement, I was in that like intentional state of mind versus letting my mind wander, whatever, but the music, the words of the teacher and everything, I was completely absorbed. And you mentioned that that's what leads to deep happiness. And I don't think I always feel good after yoga, but just the level of contentment that I felt afterwards was unlike anything I had experienced. So that really resonated with me.
Yeah, thank you very much for the testimonial too. And you know, you're putting in your hard work there, doing your yoga, and then you'll see the result. And you had a special experience where you did notice that. And I liked what you said about the mindset of intentionality. You really felt that deeply, which really meant, you know, being in the moment. So oftentimes the body's in the past, the mind's in the future, and where are we? Jumping back and forth between the two. And very rarely, without practice, without the sadhana and the kinds of things that you mentioned you're doing, can one be actually fixed or absorbed in the moment. Thank you very much for sharing that. That was very helpful.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks. JM, you notice any other comments or questions I can attend to?
Yeah, we did get We
Yes.
did get a question from Facebook, from Karthik. I've posted on the Zoom.
Okay, Kartik writes, how to control the urge of judging others and be more considerate that each and every individual's life journey is unique and one may make real quick progress in their spiritual, let's see. Yeah, it says, oh, that just changed.
Hare Krishna. So this was one of the short lectures. It is long and wonderful. But let us begin the story. How this boy. So before I start, I would like to bow down at the lotus feet of His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu and His Holiness Bhakti Prema Swami Maharaj to give me an opportunity to say something to glorify His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu, and so especially to His Grace Bhakti Prema Swami Maharaj to empower and give blessings so that I don't commit any kind of mistakes while being below. So a boy, a young boy in his hardly 13 years old, get a desire named William Suzak, get a desire to find out the answers to some of the very disturbing questions in his life. One of the most disturbing questions in his life was that what is going to happen at the time of death? And because he was a school student, he thought the second question that why I have to go to school. These two questions actually he is not able to find the answers to, the definite answers to. So at the age of very 13 or so, this boy, William Suzak, he actually used to discuss some of the deep questions like what is beyond this sky, and what will happen at the time of death, and what will happen after I die. So these kind of questions he used to always, discuss, and at really dead night with his brother. And, for days and days, for years and years, he used to do that. But still, he was not able to find, the answers and actually get to know the purpose of life. And at the age of 16, in 1970s, there was a lot of change of turmoil in the world, and there was a need to find who was God and who is God and what's the purpose. So this boy William Suzak, he kept on searching who is God and what's the purpose, and that's how he came across this Eastern philosophy, and he came across a book. The book named was Here Now, Be Here Now, and it was the author was the Ram Das. That attracted the attention of this boy William Suzak, and though the entire philosophy, the Eastern philosophy, was centered or rather tilted around Mayavad, but the one thing that he extracted from this particular book, Be Here Now, was to chant the name of Lord Ram. And what he used to do, he used to constantly chant the name of Ram, 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 and Ram. And after reading that book, though it was Mayavad philosophy, this boy, who is hardly 16 years of age, developed this desire to give up everything. He stopped wearing shoes even to school. He stopped wearing watches. He stopped looking at the watches, and he gave away all his precious items. And he just used to go barefoot. And the only thing that he used to think at the time of school days, that when I'll get back to school from school and will chant that Rama mantra. So the search didn't end over here. He kept on looking around many books, trying to find what is the absolute truth. And none of those philosophies has actually completely satisfied him. And that's what Prabhuji says, that why? Because they never talked about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. But the search went on day and day and day and day. One day, this boy, William Cusack, was actually meditating on a candle in his bedroom log. And his friend, Richie Corsa, he came and he just banged on the door and said that, William, I brought you a magazine. Actually, it was the last 50 cents, which is hardly 40 rupees now. It was the last 50 cents which I had that this Hare Krishna took and gave this magazine. I don't want this magazine. I'm not interested in it, but I know you will be. So this boy, William, he didn't answer the call. He didn't answer the door call. And, he kept on meditating on that candle. So even after banging several times, this boy, his friend, Richie Corsa, that he used to call Richie. So he just kept the book in front of the door and just banged the last time and said that I'm going, and he went away. After some time chanting on the mantra and meditating on that candle, this William Cusack, he came and opened the door, and there he saw the magazine with a beautiful golden complexion sadhu in saffron robes with two arms upraised, dancing with a beautiful scene at the back. That actually caught his mind. He immediately took the magazine and came in. Actually, the picture was of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then with great attention, he started reading page by page, the entire magazine. And actually, that created such an interest and developed such a wonderful philosophical, that what he says, that he found a perfect philosophy and the understanding. And while reading through the magazine, and at the end, while he completed the magazine, at the back, he found an amazing person, a colored person, sitting with smiling face and wearing saffron clothes with the chadar. That caught his attention. And this boy, William, he kept gazing at that magazine for minutes and minutes and minutes and minutes, and became curious, who is this person? Then he read just beneath that picture, founder Acharya, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Prabhupada. And he found two wonderful books named Sri Isopanishad and Bhagavad Gita printed on the book. And he immediately went, so this boy William immediately went to the bookstore at Shambhala Books in Berkeley, California, and said, do you know this person? This A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami? please give me all the books that he has written. And from that bookstore, he got 3 books: Isopnishat, Bhagavad Gita, and On the Way to Krishna. And this William boy, he kept on reading these books constantly. And then instead of chanting Ram, Ram, he began chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And at the age of 16, he asked his mother that, "Oh mother, please draw me to this particular temple. I want to see the program." And on the very Sunday, his mom took William to the Sunday program, Mandela feast, and he kept on going, and then he developed wonderful relations with the devotees, and he got a desire to join the temple, to stay with those devotees. And this boy, at an age of 16, he developed this desire and told his mom that Mom, I want to join the temple. And his mom said that, William, you're just 16. You have to wait till you are 18, and then you can join. And you have to finish your high school. So after completing his high school, and in the summer, in summer he joined this boy, 18 years old. He took his sleeping bag and a couple of very few items, went in a car and said to his mom and dad that, I'm not going to come home. And they began crying because they knew that he is so determined and that he is not going to come home. And Prabhuji says that as soon as I went inside the temple, I felt like a fish who has forgotten, who had gotten back into the water, perfectly happy at every moment, living with the devotees there on Valencia Street in Escon Center, San Francisco. And one day, the temple commander, his name is Kirtkarma Prabhu, he asked this boy that, would you like to go for book distribution, for distributing books of your teacher? And he said, yes, why not? So this was the first service he got. And then he went with other devotees for distributing Srila Prabhupada books. And as soon as he came, the devotees, the Kirtkarma Prabhu asked, "Oh, how was the day? Do you like distributing books?" And this boy said, "Oh, it was wonderful." And immediately, Kirtkarma Prabhu said, "That is your new service." That is actually the first service that he got at the Hare Krishna temple. In 1973, this boy, William, was initiated by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, named His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu. And coming to the PPT, actually, he's one of the senior disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and he is widely respected leader within ISKCON movement. He is amazingly known for his book distribution. He is known for his wisdom, humanity, and boundless energy. He has dedicated his life to the distribution of spiritual literatures and community building. He is currently the temple president of ISKCON Silicon Valley, and he has inspired a vibrant culture of devotional service rooted in sadhana, outreach, and personal transformation. As I told that he got initiated in 1973 and he dedicated his life in the mission of spreading Krishna consciousness and pleasing Srila Prabhupada by distributing his books. Some of the key services and the contribution that he actually did is that he is an amazing book distribution leader. He is, and he is known for training these devotees in distributing Srila Prabhupada books, and he developed the program known as Shastra Dan program, which actually facilitates the placement of Srila Prabhupada books in public institutions. And of course, he's a preacher and educator. You can go and see one of the wonderful series of lectures. Here, one of the wonderful series of lectures that is uploaded in YouTube in 2-3 different channels like ISKCON Silicon Valley and Vaisesika Das, where you'll find wonderful, lecture series on book distribution, leadership, Bhakti Yoga, personal spiritual growth, and he regularly teaches Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Nama Tattva, of course, the series on the holy name. So as I said, that he is a temple leader, temple president in ISKCON Silicon Valley, and a thriving and exemplary community known for outreach, youth programs, and congregational empowerment. And he has been, famous in his digital outreach as well, as he's active on some of the very famous online platforms like YouTube, and he gives wonderful classes on Zoom for these outreaches, and has inspired thousands of young generations, and through his virtual classes, workshops, and festivals. Then he is mentors. He is a mentor and inspiring devotees, householders, emphasizes personal spiritual practices, integrity, and compassionate outreach. And his special initiatives is the Sankirtan strategies. He has made wonderful strategies which emphasizes smart, sensitive, and strategic outreach, so that we can distribute Srila Prabhupada books. And coming to the end, Srila Prabhupada says that books are the basis, and his great Vaisesika Prabhu embodied this instruction through his life's mission. And he teaches that that every interaction is an opportunity to uplift others spiritually. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for giving your valuable time. So we'll like to end over here. His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu ki jai. His Divine Grace Sesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vai Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai. Jai Gaur Prem. Hare